when it comes to things like salah, when it comes to things like wudu, um, the opinions are going to be different. Some, not all. So what breaks wudu in one text may not break wudu in another text. Okay. Now, and within the Maliki method, it's important that we understand that there's a difference in what we say is from Sunnah and Hadith. Okay, so the Amal of Medina for the Malikiya is Sunnah. The Amal will overtake a Hadith. Okay, now and I understand that some madhabs that they do make a similarity between Hadith and Sunnah. I understand that, but we have to understand that when you have different levels or different grades of Hadith. Okay, so for an example, you will have a weak hadith, a fabricated hadith, different categories of hadith versus a sunnah. Okay, there is no fabricated sunnah, but they are fabricated hadith. Okay, so we have to know that the sunnah and the amal for us, for the Malikiya, this is mutawatir. Okay, this is what we consider mutawatir. And then you have some people of hadith who say that the terminology of mutawatir, that this is not even an actual term, because they say that a hadith technically cannot be mutawatir because of how it's transmitted. You know, so these are just some basic understandings here. We want to know that no sheikh, no sheikh. Okay, this is important that we understand this. No sheikh is authority for the ummah. Okay, no sheikh is authority. You know, he does not carry the authority of law. Okay, so we'll find that most people, and probably mostly the Salafis, okay, like their go-to person for the most part is someone named Sheikh Fawzan. Okay, so they go to him. It's like their authority figure, their authority for them. You know, what we must understand is that when we correct the scholars, then the ummah is corrected. Okay, and this means that, you know, when scholars are incorrect, okay, it is up to other people of knowledge to correct this. Okay, not not for the scholarship. You know, scholars debate with scholars. Okay, if a person is not privy to a certain ruling, then obviously then that person is not allowed to speak on that ruling. Okay, he doesn't know that ruling. We have the ummah in today's society. We are stuck on reading from books on our own, and this is a major mistake. Okay, this is harmful. You know, to try to interpret things on our own, and then I've witnessed people actually get on social media or these apps or whatever the case may be, and they'll just read from a book. Okay, like they're holding adults, so they'll just read from this book, um, and then they're trying to give their own understanding of this text, like they're teaching the text, right, without being taught the text. Major issue. Okay, this is a serious problem. And when it comes to hadith, in general, a lot of us, what we have to understand is that the context of the narrator, the context, the understanding, okay, it will give you more understanding than who actually narrated the text or the hadith. So, or if it's authentic or not. Okay, so a lot of us, we just go straight to Sahih Okay, Bukhari says this. Sahih Muslim says this. And because they say it, it's just an authority. Um, what we have to understand is that we have to understand these hadith. It's not enough to just go to a book of Sahih Bukhari and read this book, okay, and then now you want to give a ruling based off of what you've read. This is not acceptable. This is wrong. Okay, we have to be taught what, and the Ummah in general, um, the Ummah is suffering because of this. Okay, because of lack of knowledge. People read, and that's all they do is read. They think it's okay. To them, this is following Quran and Sunnah. And they put down the madahib, and they say, well, brother, we don't need Quran. We don't need a madhab. Like these imams, like these ai were not following Quran and Sunnah. Like we know more than what they know. I mean, this is disrespectful to the real scholarship. Okay, if anything, this is a mercy. Okay, and we should look at it as is a mercy, and we should be thankful that Allah has put these type of people, within our lives, that we can gain knowledge from what they have left us with, because they're still being rewarded in their graves for what we're doing, and from what we teach from their madhab. They're still being rewarded. This is why when you follow a madhab, this is you are now under a safety net or a shield, if you will. Okay, you are now protected. Even if something may not seem, and a brother asked me last week about this. He said, well, brother, maybe sometimes I may not feel right doing certain things within a ruling of a madhab. Okay, so for an example, what him and I were discussing is that the opinion within the Maliki school is that, one opinion is that if the prayer is about to exit, and if you cannot clean filth from your garment or from your clothing, then you will pray with the najaza or on your person or on your clothing, providing the fact that you have tahara. Tahara is a condition that has to be met regardless. But when it comes to removing filth, this is a condition with the capability and within your remembrance. Okay, so let's say that you've prayed an entire prayer, and then after the prayer you found out that you had urine on your garment. Within the school of Medina, this prayer is perfectly still valid, and it's only a recommendation that you repray that prayer if that prayer is still within its time. If the prayer exits its time, now it's recommended that you do not pray the prayer. Okay, and I know that that's going to be kind of odd, because I understand that most or all of the other madhahib, that this is not, you have to have, this is a condition no matter what, that anything that's najis is removed from your person, from your clothing, or from your place of prayer. This is a condition within the other madhahib, but in the school of Medina it is not. Okay, and the reason for why we take this ruling is because of the hadith of when the Prophet was leading the Sahaba, and then Jibril came and said to him that he had some type of najaza on his sandal, and the Prophet kicked his shoe off and he kept on praying. If this was a condition that has to be upheld, then the prayer would have been voided from day one, or from the start of that prayer. Another interesting opinion within the school of Medina is fasting. Okay, because within the school of Medina, the hadith about whoever fasts out of forgetfulness and then they break it, then that fast is still valid, continue to fast. Within the school of Medina, this hadith is not taken the way that the other madhab take this hadith. The interesting thing is that we all use the same hadith. It's just how it was interpreted through the different ulama, how the mujtahid interpret this hadith. You know, um, this hadith was interpreted within the school of Medina to mean that the month of Ramadan is a month of, sanctity. So even if you was to eat or drink by mistake, it does not mean that you can continue to eat and drink. It does not mean that your fast is valid. See, within this hadith, the Malikis does not say that the Prophet said that your fast is valid. It's still valid. It just says to continue to fast. And why would you continue to fast? Because the month is built on worship. Okay, so it's not proper for a person, out of respect for the month, to just eat and drink for the rest of that day, because he broke the fast anyway. So for us within the school of Medina, the fast would be broken. Why would the fast still be broken? Because you actually broke a condition of the fast. A condition of the fast is that nothing enters into your stomach. Now, whether that's done by accident, whether that's done on purpose, whether that's done out of forgetting, the fact of the matter is, if something enters into your stomach during the fasting hours of Ramadan, then you have actually broken a condition, whether it's intentional or not. Once the condition is broken, thus, so is the act. And we cannot use this excuse for anything else. So the Maliki said, well, why can't you use this excuse for praying? We can't. If a person is praying and if he makes a mistake or whatever, forgetting, makes a mistake, and if he breaks wudu, then the prayer is voided. See, because a condition is something that must be met prior and it must be fulfilled throughout the entire action. So he fulfilled the wudu correctly, but within the prayer, he broke the wudu. Therefore, we can't say that he did it by accident, or he did it out of forgetting, or he forgot that he did it, and then he kept praying, and then after the fact, no one says that. If you break wudu in your prayer, even after the fact, and you remember after the fact, then you must go back and make wudu, remake wudu, and re-pray. Nobody disagrees with that. So why is it that, when it comes to fasting, there should be an exception? So these are just a couple of things, or difference of opinions within the schools of thought, that we use these schools of thoughts as safety nets. Okay, that's what they are. They're safety nets. They're there to keep our worship balanced, so we will not be all over the place. And what you'll find is that when people who don't follow madhabs, these are the people who have the biggest problems with them, okay, or who talk negatively about them. You'll never find a person who truly, I've never ran into a person who actually follows a madhab, even if it's not from my own, if it's a Hanafi or if it's a Hanbal or whomever the case may be, if they're true followers of a madhab, then it's nothing but all respect. They understand that it's going to be different rulings within the school of Medina, and the people within the school of Medina, they understand that there's going to be different rulings based on the Shafi'iyah or whatever madhab that person follows, and there's nothing but respect, because no matter which one you're following, is all correct. And we ask Allah to save us from ourselves, save us from our ignorance. Okay, God.